In the harsh, unforgiving world of Kruger National Park, everything follows the law of survival. But one day, an unexpected rule was broken. What happened when a gorilla mother had to face an incredible choice, forcing her to place all her trust in the very species that had hindered her life? This story will reveal that mystery. The air in Kruger National Park hangs heavy, thick with the scent of red dust and wild sage. It's the kind of heat that makes the world shimmer, blurring the line between reality and a mirage. For Sarah, a park ranger with 10 years of experience etched into the crow's feet around her eyes, it was the sound of silence that was most telling. The big animals, the elephants and the lions, were taking their midday rest. Only the ceaseless buzz of insects filled the air, a hum that was both a lullaby and a warning. Beside her, Jessica, a recent graduate from university in Florida, wiped sweat from her brow, her gaze wide with a mix of awe and anxiety. This was her first week, and every rustle in the tall grass felt like a potential story or a disaster. "Do you ever get used to it?" she whispered, her voice barely audible over the Jeep's idle engine. Sarah didn't need to ask what it was. The unpredictability, the raw, untamed beauty that could turn on a dime. "You learn to read the silence," she replied, her voice low and steady. "And you always listen for what breaks it." Miles away, hidden in a thicket of acacia trees, a young gorilla named Coco was not reading the silence. He was, in fact, creating his own brand of beautiful chaos. His mother, a vigilant and perpetually worried female named Amma, watched him with a constant, nervous energy. Coco was all boundless curiosity, his small hands and feet eager to explore every texture, every shadow. He was a force of pure, innocent discovery. Today, his quest led him to a tiny, scarlet-chested sunbird, a flash of fiery color against the dull, dusty landscape. The bird darted from one thorny branch to another, a playful tease. Coco, his mind set on this new game, scampered after it, his mother's frantic, low-pitched grunts of warning fading into the background. His pursuit led him away from the relative safety of the gorilla troop and onto a paved road cutting through the African wilderness. Under the brilliant midday sun, the road glistened like a silk ribbon. Coco was so focused on the bird that he didn't realize the danger lurking right at the roadside, where a sleek, muscled form was coiled under the shade of an acacia tree. It was a massive African rock python, a patient hunter, camouflaged perfectly in the lush green grass that grew overgrown in the shade. The strike was swift and brutal. One moment, there was a playful chase. The next, the thick coils of the python were a living vice, tightening around Coco's small body. A cry, high-pitched and full of terror, tore through the midday stillness. It was a sound that Amma had always dreaded, a sound that instantly transformed her from a mother into a primal force of fury. She bolted through the grass, her powerful arms pumping, her focus a singular, burning point of rage. When she burst into the clearing, the sight was a nightmare made real. Her son, her beautiful Coco, was trapped, his small legs kicking weakly as the python's coils squeezed the air from his lungs. With a guttural roar, Alma lunged. She bit and tore at the python's scales, pulling on its unyielding body with a strength born of desperation. The snake, however, was an immovable force. Its ancient, unfeeling grip held fast. Alma's efforts were useless. She was fighting a force of nature, and she was losing. Her cries of anguish and frustration echoed through the bushveld, a symphony of a mother's worst nightmare. The high-pitched cries that broke the silence reached them while they were on their routine patrol route. This paved road was a vital artery, allowing them to move quickly and respond to emergencies. "Gorilla distress call,"
We need to move,
Sarah said,
now.
her hands already on the gear shift. Jessica's eyes widened, the fear she'd been holding back now a cold knot in her stomach. "Is it a poacher?" she asked,
that
her
noise?
voice trembling. Sarah shook her head, her gaze fixed on the GPS. "Worse. It's a mother in trouble." When they arrived, The scene was one of primal horror. Alma was a whirlwind of motion, her roars of frustration filling the air as she tried, in vain, to break the python's grip. The baby gorilla, Coco, was now still, his tiny body limp in the python's embrace. Jessica reached for the tranquilizer gun, her hand shaking. "We have to do something. Now." Sarah's hand shot out, stopping her. "Wait, the mother will see us as a threat. One wrong move, and she'll turn on us." She's already at her breaking point. They stood frozen, two worlds separated by a chasm of mistrust. Sarah, with her years of understanding the intricate rules of the wild, and Jessica, with her raw, human desire to help. The air was a tense standoff. The python, the desperate mother, and the two human observers. The seconds stretched into an eternity. And then they saw it. Coco's last, faint struggle. His breath, a shallow wheeze. A switch flipped inside Sarah. The rules of the wild suddenly felt less important than the universal rule of life. She grabbed a long, sturdy branch from the jeep. "We're going in," she said, her voice firm and resolved. Jessica, no longer a newcomer, but a woman driven by a fierce need to act, grabbed another pole. They approached with slow, deliberate steps, their eyes never leaving Alma. The gorilla mother, sensing their presence, stopped her struggle and stared at them, her eyes wide with fear and fury. Sarah didn't make eye contact. She lowered her head in a sign of submission, a gesture of peace. And then, an unexpected twist. Alma, instead of attacking, took a small, hesitant step back. A silent, desperate plea for help. A moment of extraordinary trust. With a newfound purpose, Sarah and Jessica moved in, a coordinated, high-stakes dance of rescue. They used the poles to prod and poke at the python, aiming for its sensitive head. The snake, agitated and annoyed by the foreign objects, began to unwind its coils, its focus shifting from its prey to the new threat. They worked in tandem, prying and pulling, until with a final, frustrated hiss, the python released its grip on Coco and slithered away into the safety of the tall grass. The immediate danger was gone, but a new, terrible silence descended. Coco lay motionless on the ground, his chest not rising, his body cold. The mother gorilla, a quiet statue of grief, watched with her heart in her eyes. It was a scene of unbearable loss. Without a second thought, Sarah dropped her pole and knelt beside the baby gorilla. Jessica's eyes were wide with panic. "Sarah, the mother." But Alma didn't move. She simply watched, a silent observer of this impossible act of kindness. Sarah, her hands trembling, placed them on Coco's chest. She had seen countless animal rescues, but never had she been allowed to touch a wild gorilla. This was a miracle of trust. She began chest compressions. The rhythm of her pushes a desperate plea to the universe. 1, 2, 3, 4. The seconds stretched, and hope began to fade. And then a tiny, raspy cough. A gasp. The smallest, most beautiful sound in the world. Coco's chest rose and fell, a life-giving breath returning to his small lungs. Alma let out a low, shuddering sob, not of grief, but of profound relief. Sarah and Jessica sat back, exhausted, the adrenaline ebbing away. The mother gorilla, still shaky, approached her son. She nudged him with her nose, making sure he was real. When he stirred and whimpered, she let out a gentle, purring sound, a deep hum of comfort. She then did something that none of them would ever forget. She looked at Sarah. Her gaze wasn't one of suspicion or fear. It was a deep, silent, and undeniable look of gratitude. A connection forged in the fires of a shared nightmare. She reached out and gently took her son in her arms, cradling him against her chest. With one last, lingering look at the two humans who had saved her world, she turned and disappeared back into the endless green of the park. When Sarah and Jessica looked at her go, a quiet understanding passed between them. It wasn't about the job or the protocols. It was about a shared moment of compassion that transcended the barriers of species. It was a testament to the extraordinary power of a mother's love and a willingness to trust, even when it seems impossible. This wasn't just a story about a rescue. It was about a single, beautiful heartbeat. A heartbeat brought back to life by the most unlikely of hands, in a world where stories of conflict often dominate. What feelings did this story bring to you? What moment in the story made you believe that the boundaries between species can be erased? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. If this story of compassion and love has touched your heart, please hit the subscribe and bell icon buttons to not miss other inspiring stories from the natural world. Together, we will spread more magical moments like this.